Hello and welcome to another episode of Lost Like Mike. I am your host, Mike Gonzalez. Today, we're going to try it out for a few seconds and see if she's going to sit here or not.
No, end it.
What do you mean? I haven't even started it.
End it. Because I was making dumb faces.
No, you should have thought of that before you made the dumb face. Now it's on there forever. Get back in there.
Mm-mm.
There you are. Come on. Are you out of the picture? Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for the messages. Thank you for hanging out and listening to me talk. Thank you for all the messages at lostlikemike@gmail.com. Right before we started, I have a list of topics that I was going to get into today, and she looked over and she said, I have nothing to say about any of those topics.
I know.
And so she said, why should I even be on the show today?
And then you pushed the button.
And then I pushed the button to start the show.
Yeah.
So we're going to give it a shot for a minute. I'm going to give her equal time as I did my daughter to try to do it. My daughter didn't want to do the show after all. And it's looking the same with Julie. Julie, tell them about yourself.
No.
Okay. So then anyway, we were anyway, I had a big week this week. I had about a big couple weeks of doing things. You have nothing to say about any of it? No opinions?
You're talking now.
Okay.
I'm listening.
All right. No. We talked on the last episode about me doing 11 shows. Here's the thing. Nobody's impressed with anything anymore. Nothing. I'll give you an example. I went and I ran. My leg was swollen above the knee, like a ball. A ball over my knee of pain.
Okay.
Above my knee. Okay? And I had on the forecast, I thought that was a spider. On the forecast, I see that I had to run a 5K this Saturday. And midway, it went from not even being able to walk to, icing it and putting heat pads on it and taking ibuprofen. I mean, really just taking care of it, trying to do everything I could, massaging it, whatever. Here comes Wednesday, and I'm thinking, I don't know, about 60% still in the woods. I don't know. We'll just keep working it and seeing where we're at on Friday. Friday comes, it's on the fence. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Right? I was very scared.
Yeah. Up until the whole thing.
Because the race was going to be at 8 in the morning. I had to be there at like 6:30 in the morning. So it's not like you could wake up and go, I'm gonna do it, right? Mind you, I was on a 10-person team with 2 alternates, so 12 people total doing this race for the company. And the way that they framed it and the way they said it was going to be was that this race was going to represent the company, and that if we didn't have the full roster, then we might not qualify to participate. We might not get full points or whatever the case was. So even though my leg was hurting, I had already decided I'm going to do this no matter what.
Right.
So I even canceled my wife and daughter going because I didn't want them to see me, crash and burn or fail or, I don't know, tear something and then be like carried out on a stretcher or something. I'm not trying to be dramatic. I'm just being silly. But honestly, I didn't want them to be like, I wanted to have that escape thing where I would have been like, you know, and they're off. And then me go, oh, no, never mind. You know what? Forget this. I didn't want to do that and then turn around and then being there with little pom-poms being like, you can do it. And then being like, no.
And then you just collapse like a noodle.
Yeah. Well, you know me well enough for that. No, I'm not a quitter. But I didn't want them to see the possibility because honestly, like I said, I mean, this ball of above my knee just is whatever. But I run the race, okay? I made it through. On a side note, I wanted to acknowledge two things. If you're ever needing motivation, and I mean, there's people like you hear about the carrot and the stick. You ever heard of the carrot and the stick? Okay, well, they say that people are motivated either by reward or by fear of punishment. So like, you hang a carrot in front of the rabbits and the rabbits race, right? Or like you whip the back of the, and they, run. So either you're led by the carrot or by the stick.
Okay.
All right. So, which if you're just listening, then I apologize for my horrible explanation of what a carrot and a stick is. Wapa doesn't really mean anything to anybody. But also, by the way, we are not bad parents. Our daughter is playing right outside the door with her tablet.
Someone makes it different.
and it's awful quiet out there right now. No, it's because she wanted to color pictures and do things right outside the room. I digress. So I am personally motivated. I need a fire lit under me at times. Look to your right. I need a fire lit under me. I need somebody to be that's how I know myself to be motivated by, like, those coaches that would get in trouble for saying being too aggressive with the players. I actually like those kind of coaches. So that being said, and I just lost my co-host. It's quite all right. I am a big fan of David Goggins. I'll put a picture up of him. David Goggins is former Navy SEAL. And he does like extreme stuff, like, runs 15 miles, 100 miles. But he does these daily motivationals where, you have to listen to him to fully appreciate the extent by which this man punishes himself. He's not a fan of excuses. He's not a fan of even acknowledging reasons. And I knew that I needed that kind of motivation that day. So I made a list of things that I was going to do prior to the race. I needed to have earpods in, and I needed to be listening to something with a steady rhythm to it. So I picked Pearl Jam 10. If you're familiar with Pearl Jam 10, the playlist is pretty much, from the beginning of the album, there's a lot of songs that fit that rhythm of cross-country running. If you're ever needing the right BPMs, you could listen to like Even Flow or Once, and it has that rhythm. So I listened to, I needed to have that, and I needed to have some motivation prior to, I needed to have some of that David Goggins. I had that in mind. A bunch of different factors that I figured I was going to let in. And welcome back. I think you handled that well.
Yes.
I can see my daughter's in view now too. I was just telling the listeners about the list of motivations that I needed to have on hand prior to doing the run. And you know, I even got hokey with, I mean, like, I was there at the race and they had the speakers playing and whatever. I couldn't find my company. I was there at 6:30 like I promised I'd be. I was signed in, did all my stuff, and my company hadn't showed up. And they had the music playing in the background. It was a Christian radio station that they had prior to playing, like the like they even did like a Zumba warm up. I didn't participate.
Why?
Because I didn't even know if I had the juice to do the race, much less I was watching these people do like
you could have done your fiesta dance.
dances and. I don't have a fiesta dance.
You should play a clip.
You will.
Pull the clip in.
She's saying that when I perform with the different bands that I perform with during Fiesta, which is like where I told you I did 11 shows with like this Spanish music Tejano group and stuff, that I do a move when I play that she saw and makes fun of me about.
I
Anyway.
made fun of you. I described the dance.
Yeah. Do you want to do the dance for
No.
everybody? Then there you go. So
We'll add a little clip.
I'm not going to add a clip. No, I'm not going to animate a clip. Do you know the show's budget? There's no animation team.
You can find mine on Google.
Yeah, and then, okay.
Yeah, an animation.
I'm like Daffy Duck doing the little dance.
Yeah, but it's got to be the...
Okay. So, no, but I mean, I didn't, they had this Christian station playing, and I was texting you, telling you how I was by myself and, if, you know, I was out of place because there's all these people doing these stretches and being all fit and whatever. And this was prior to my David Goggins mantras that started playing, that I decided to play. But I think the universe has a way of answering that, you know. And for my spiritual folks out there, in this case, it was directly in the form of messages through a Christian radio station. I mean, like when I messaged saying that I was all by myself and like my company hadn't gotten there, over the radio they say it was a song that was talking about how you're not alone, God's with you. And I thought, wow, that's kind of cool that I'd hear that in the middle of like kind of looking around trying to find a place to fit in. And then there was like other ones like like you could do like you basically the message was you can accomplish, like you could do it, you could do whatever you want to do, everything's possible, you know, kind of thing. And that's when I was like rubbing my knee and thinking, is this stupid? Am I really thinking I can do this? You know, so it felt like it was like I had tapped into like the universe and speaking directly to me that everything was going to be okay. Of course, then they kicked off that and started playing the Zumba music. So then with they had a Zumba instructor teaching everybody how to stretch and warm up. And that's when I put on David Goggins and he told me what to, you know, like to embrace the suck and etc. The different positive messages that he had in his own way of doing it. So kind of like the opposite, where one side was like saying, hey, everything's going to be all right. You're good enough to do this or whatever. And the other one's saying you have to make the mental choice to like decide that you're not going to suck and then like aspire to be that, or just go cry about it and leave me alone because I'm going to do it anyway, was his message. But anyway, point being, getting back to the front, I ran the race, okay? And you're talking about 3.1 miles on a bum, and it wasn't even my knee that gave me problems. Like I had shin splints after mile 1, just more my left leg was throbbing. But I'm like,
Your foot.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna finish this race. I have a medal that I got. But anyway, I finished the race. And then I call home and they're like, "Hey, do you want to go to a theme park and walk around for like 4 hours?" And my legs like throbbing, but I'm like, you know what? I miss my daughter. I miss hanging out with my wife. We're gonna do this, and so I did it. But like, it's what I'm saying, y'all. Like, nothing's impressive to like anybody.
We
And I'm
said
not saying
congratulations.
I'm
He wants cannons and like streamers and a cake when he walks in the door. So
No.
He did it. And then he'll feel like,
No,
we
that's
think
not
he did a
true.
good job. Yes. What do you want?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe a verbal acknowledgement that maybe something was difficult and was accomplished.
We said that
To who?
to you.
I'm not wanting I don't want like a pat on the back or like, like a good job. But like, I don't know. It's weird because if somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, I just ran 3.1 miles," and then they asked me to go walk around a theme park, and I did that too. And to me, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Like, I can't even imagine. And he was hurt, and you're hurting the whole time? Come on. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it sounds like to me. But like,
Good job.
oh no, that's not what I'm saying. It's just not impressive to nobody.
It is.
I'm not saying.
This light is really bright. It's giving me spots.
It's called lighting for the show.
It's bright.
You made me look directly at it.
I can't stop.
Now I'm seeing rings everywhere. Hi, Harlow. I'm saying hi to my daughter off camera because she came in here and decided, you're going to watch any of your videos? Good. Anyway. See, like, I told the story of going to, it's there for a reason.
It's very bright.
You can't just turn. Well, anyway, so like when I told those stories last week, of walking 2 miles to a show and then performing for 2 hours in a live rock and roll situation where you're jumping around, whatever. And I was telling my mom the story, and I finished the story, and she goes, "Uh-huh." And in my mind, I'm like, wait a minute. Let me say it again. I walked 2 miles and then had to perform for 2 hours. Oh, okay. Was it a good show? And I said, yep. Oh, that's good.
I feel like I've seen this
Oh,
in a
that's
TV
good.
show or a movie or something. What was it?
What?
Oh!
Are you saying I'm
it was
plagiarizing my
no,
life?
It was in Scorpion. Remember? They got her the little thing so she could push the little button. And said, "You did
Attaboy.
it." Yeah, attaboy. There you go. That's what we need for you.
Attaboy.
You could just
Here I studied that. It's because I was pressing the button like they did on the show.
Yeah.
Attaboy.
It was on Scorpion.
Attaboy.
So we're gonna get you this little button, and every time you feel like you're not getting it, you just push your own button, and it'll say "Attaboy." You make us look bad.
What?
Yeah.
No. You're not even on camera.
Yes, I am.
You're non-committal. You're like half on camera. Before we started, she had her hands up like this to do the Ron Burgundy, and then I said, "It's gonna mess with your head. You're gonna be like really wanting to do
That's
that."
because that's what you told me when we did the news.
What news? Oh.
When we were in the news, and you said you were going to do Ron
No.
Burgundy, and then I kept
Okay,
wanting
look.
to do this with my hands. I had to hold onto my pants,
Okay.
so I would quit putting my hands.
So, my daughter, they did a news thing about my daughter on TV.
It was on KSAT 12.
It was on. People from like other countries watch this. They don't know what KSAT 12 is.
Okay. They
Like
can Google it.
a whole 2 people watch it from another country. To my international listeners. No, anyway, so on the local TV station, they did a segment about my daughter and the struggles that she has gone through since she was born, and also the how do you say that, the equestrian therapy? Am I saying that right?
I think so.
She goes to horse riding therapy. It's like a sponsored therapy. We don't have to pay a whole lot of money, but it really helps her. It's sponsored, right? I mean, it's like.
Right now,
Are
I
you?
can reapply.
But I felt like what you just did was like a poke on the side to tell me to stop talking about it. Was that what that was? Because you didn't poke me, but I mean, were you trying to say? I'm not editing that out, so whatever.
Okay.
So she rides horses to
It's like
help her hips.
hippotherapy. It's called hippotherapy.
They're horses, not hippos. I don't know what she's trying to talk
called.
about hippos. The only time I ever saw a hippo was when it pooped in the glass in front of me.
But the news featured the place that they go to, and they interviewed her and her friend.
They gave her about a week and said, in a week, we're going to talk to you about this.
Yeah.
And we're going to film you, and we're going to talk about this stuff. And so, of course, she comes and says, I'm nervous. I don't know. It's going to be weird talking on camera. And I gave her 2 bits of advice. Not that I have a whole lot of experience, but there was one time that I was filmed because I was doing a benefit. I had created this benefit concert for the American Red Cross. And that's not like a humble brag. It's like 10 years ago. It was right after.
Push your button.
Attaboy. It is. All right, so then.
Get you that for Father's Day, just so you know.
Oh man. Well, anyway, the guy, he had the camera and he stopped and he goes, "Hey, can you try to be a little interesting?" And I said, "That was as interesting as I get, pal." No, but anyway, so I said, you just gotta.
Ricky Bobby.
I just no. I said you gotta just, try to be with a little bit of energy because they're looking for some kind of, pep. Was the one bit of advice because I didn't want her to be told by that person, hey, could you be interesting? You know what I mean? Because that cut deep. And then the second part was I said, you gotta relax. Don't worry about it. You're not gonna be all Ron Burgundy. And I said, with your hands going up, I don't know what to do with my hands. But anyways, it got in her head, and so the whole time that she was being filmed, she was having to hold her pants because her hands were
wanting to go up in the sky.
Have you ever tried to
I
do?
even told that to the news lady and the guy. She was like
4 foot. The news lady. You look like a tower.
Yeah, and I'm short.
And you're short.
Yeah.
You ever tried standing in a doorway? Push your hands against the frame of the door for 30 seconds, and then let them loose and stand forward. Have you ever tried that?
No, why would I try that?
I'm just saying you should try that, because when you do that, your hands actually go up like Ron Burgundy. True story.
I'll try that later.
Yep. So then, the next big adventure is, which by the way, two things. I was gonna cancel the run, even though they were like saying, because my boss was telling me, hey, you don't want to hurt yourself. Like if you fear that if it's going to cause you to have a tear or like to have a real injury, don't hesitate, just cancel. And so it was on my mind, but I really said, I don't want to let the company down. I don't want to let my team down. Turns out 7 of the 12 people didn't go and canceled. 7. There I am with my balloon knee with, I had on knee-high compression socks and then two knee braces.
Icy hot.
And I smelled like Ben Gay, rowdy, and
some ibuprofen.
And I was dosed up on ibuprofen, and then
Dosed up on ibuprofen.
I had a bunch. Anyway, and then I get there, and when they finally showed up, they're like, "I'm hoping to do it in 23 minutes, 24 minutes. How fast are you gonna do it?" I said, "Honey, I'm just trying to finish this bad boy. Like you'd be lucky if I finish. I have an injury. We're talking about 30 minutes." I said, "No." I said, "Maybe 35 minutes." I said.
You finished in like 45, right? That's good.
That's not fast, honey.
Well, you finished.
Attaboy. No, but honestly, like, yeah, I mean, look, I'll put it this way. I did a 5K last year, and I was way out of shape. Like, I hadn't even touched a run or walk, nothing. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. When I ran in the rain? And I finished it in like 48 minutes. And I was just a nightmare. Like, I came in all, wobbly legs and throw them in the car and get them home. Hi, Bobos. You can't selectively listen to what we're talking about, honey, because it won't make sense. It'll be out of context. I'm telling my daughter because she takes her earphones off and she's looking at me like I'm saying weird things. I love you, Harlow.
But you are.
I am.
I can't even hear what you're saying.
So I ran faster this time. By like 3 to 4 minutes faster. You know, so that's good. Attaboy. Anyway, the second thing was that the day before, I think it was the day before, I had a dream that I was going on an adventure. Do you remember? Did I tell you that? I just woke up feeling like I was midway through this like adventure, and I was thinking to myself, it had been a minute since I had done something that was out of my comfort zone. So I said, no matter what, limping or no matter what, I'm going to do this race. I'm going to follow through with this. And that's why I just stopped talking about it and I just did it. But I didn't want y'all there because I didn't want to be like, I was covering my bases. All right. My next adventure that I'm going on is doing school shows. I'm doing 11 school shows in 6 days. We do this, I participate in this program to perform pop songs with a group of musicians, and we play as a reward for elementary schools that do well on their math facts, and so it's called Math Rocks. And there's about I think it was like 80 schools that they're going to, but they're dividing it into multiple bands, and I can only participate 1 week of shows. So, and I'm not singing, I'm playing bass and just getting the kids riled up. But that's where it's at with that. We got together to rehearse, and they got a young guy, and he's really talented. He's going to sing with us because he's going to be there for the full 2.5 weeks of shows. So he's going to be taking the singing. But they're all savvy with like music and like the music theory and talking about music and stuff. It's always so. I need to get better because it always makes me feel so inferior when they get into the lingo of it, and I'm just sitting there playing, and they're like, well, I'm going to change the key on this, and the guy's like, yeah, it sounds to me that it would be a lot better in D minor, and I'm like, this guy, all right, because I don't know. I mean, I can figure it out, but whatever. I've just never been savvy with all that stuff. So, anyway. So I'm doing 11 shows, and not this week, but the following week after that. But I'm also off of work for a full week. Pretty excited about that. But you're off all the way in like 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, about 2.5 weeks. Well, not really, because I'm gonna work a little bit. Just roll your eyes at me.
So over the summer, she works with preschoolers, right? And over the summer, on Fridays, you're gonna go on field trips, right? Or Thursdays?
No, some Mondays and some Thursdays.
Some Mondays and some Thursdays, she's gonna go on field trips to exciting places around the city. Like, for example, they went to the botanical gardens with giant.
For her class, yeah.
Giant shrubs that look like dragons, and she calls that work. It's like going to the buttercrest factory. Do y'all still do that?
No.
Where are y'all gonna? What would you go? Where would you go?
I went to a lot of places.
Could you name one?
The zoo.
All right, so that's what she considers work.
Yeah, we're taking care of children.
Hey kid, look at the monkey.
You couldn't be a teacher.
Don't throw things into the monkey cage. Good job, kid. Give me money. Just like that. I could do that.
No.
Hey kid, don't climb into that tiger cage. Bad idea. Give me money. Done.
Who's giving me money?
That's me getting paid for doing a good job. Hey kids, get on the bus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're all here. Let's go.
No, except
Give me
there's
money.
like 80 of them in the summer.
Do
in
you
the program.
do you chain them together? Ropes, collars, chips. How do you keep track? 80 kids. How do you keep track?
Counting.
Do you wrangle them up? What do you call them?
Move along.
What do you call them? 31 minutes. Okay. I look back at all the times that I was told to do different steps of self-care, like the icing of sore muscles, or the taking an ice bath, or putting a heating pad, or taking an anti-inflammatory, or whatever it was. And I think my mentality was that no, I'm good. I could still keep going. I could power through this, or I don't need to take those steps. Like I'm okay. I'll make it. How foolish that was. Like for years, I've been that way. Even to like the extent of my singing, and like having to, when they said gargle salt, or drink a honey lemon tea, or whatever the case was, I would do certain steps, but it was always a question of like my own just stubbornness. You get these the wrong way of thinking, the way that some people, and I've been known to have this misconception as well, to when they say, well, take antibiotics and then your body's going to build a tolerance to it, and then when you really need them, they're not gonna work for you, or whatever. Oh no, it's all quiet. I had a noise machine going that whole first half of the show. But I've learned that over this past couple weeks, the value of taking care of things, and it not being a sign of weakness to say, oh, you know what? My legs are really hurting. Like, I really need to do something to try to stop the pain, or to take care of the muscles. Like today I did yard work, but having done all that racing and everything yesterday, would have been unheard of in the past to even think of doing anything the next day, but just taking care of yourself and really taking those steps, not taking them for granted, was really a game changer. I don't know. And recently I've been thinking about, they were talking about anxiety and things debilitating, and if focusing on gratitude as a remedy to combat some of those negative thoughts. And I've heard it in a lot of different stated in a lot of different interviews and things. Really clever people, really smart people. And the idea is that when in the beginning of the day, or at any given time, when you feel like you're challenged, just start thinking of things that things that you have that you can show gratitude towards, and just celebrate those things in a way. Talk about them for, in your mind. Like, I'm grateful for waking up today, for having food to eat, for a loving family, or for friends that care about me, whatever the case is. So it's been something that's been on my mind recently, of just sort of talking about gratitude, or thinking about the things that I'm grateful for. I dyed my beard. You can kind of see it. I call it the Cinderella effect, because I dyed the beard before shows during Fiesta, and there are prejudices having to do with white hair, having to do with the way people treat you, the way they see you. You hear all the time, they're like, well, I don't dye my beard, I don't dye my hair, I don't dye my beard. People. And I'm not saying to be all like, going to the club and like being like, what's up? How you doing? Hashtag young life and YOLO, or what, I don't know what the kids say. I'm not saying to present yourself in certain social situations as being younger than you are. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that's not where I'm coming from. I'm just saying, I've talked a bit about this on the podcast many times. There's all those stigmas of saying dress your age and act your age and all that are perpetuated from a time when there was a stark difference between the generations before and after. Meaning, like, the people of an older age, if you look back in the people that were getting older in the 50s going into the 60s, looked dramatically different than the young people of the 60s and 70s, where it was not unheard of to wear the button-down shirts and the dress pants, and as an everyday, where growing up was like, you're talking about the greatest generation. You're everything about you was stoic and buttoned up and not shared. You didn't talk about your feelings or whatever. Everything was just very serious, and then that's the way that it's presented. But you have to think of like hippies, right? Getting older, and it's not like one day they just turn around. I mean, there's a segment they called Yuppies, right, where they gave up their peace, love, and whatever, and join the corporate life, or the responsible adulthood, where everything's about providing for your families and working the day job, etc. But these days, that line is blurred so vast, so much so that young people are, and old people, everybody's just kind of, all the different generations have sort of looped enough times where, like, the 50s came back, the 60s came back, 70s came back, 80s came back, 90s. Everything's kind of sort of come back in sort of, in cycles of popularity, and so like there's young people that are super square and very reserved and with their eyes on the future and saving the world and being responsible and taking ownership of the planet and all this kind of stuff. And there's 40-year-olds wearing Thundercat shirts. I mean, it's just the way it is. It's just, there's nothing. But also by that same token, you have CEOs that dress really casual and but walk that line of doing their job. I mean, it's just, you can perpetuate whatever narrative you want, but I mean, it's all fair game is my point, is to say that. But what I am talking about is just the unconscious bias that exists in terms of, like, when you see somebody and they have gray in their beard, and how your treatment of that person differs from somebody who doesn't. People would say that they don't have that. They don't have it, but that's why it's called an unconscious bias. You don't even know that you're treating the person differently. And for somebody like myself, I mean, I'm out there 3 to 4 times a week singing, and I could tell you that there was a stark difference one day to the next when I went out with the just my normal white in my beard and then came out with a dyed beard. Even at the race, they would treat people different. I've witnessed it, and so I can firsthand anecdotally say that there is a difference of the way that I'm treated, which, like, extends into how I present myself. Because there are certain things that older people, the certain ways of being treated where you just sort of, I don't know, it changes the way that you feel about things, how you feel about participating in different things. You already feel like I don't know, like you don't want to participate in certain things. Anyway, that's the way that it comes off feeling. Or I like, your contributions don't matter as much. But that's, it's just a feeling that comes because of a back and forth. And so if there's steps that you could take to like change the way that you feel, I say you take those steps. That's all I'm saying. So I'm going to continue to dye my beard, or, whatever. Be to hell with what people say. I think I'm savvy enough not to, like, do those jet black, dye where you put the jet black on your head and your beard, and you walk in a room and people are like, dang, obviously this guy dyes his hair and his beard, has a hard time accepting his age. That's not what I'm, aspiring to either. Just a subtle dye, just to feel, makes me feel better about myself. I don't know. I'm not, like, fighting against sort of with any sort of denial of my aging. I know I'm getting older, and that's fine, but it's like, why exercise? Why eat right? Why do any of it it's to try to extend the productive years, or you're right, and to extend those aspects of yourself that you enjoy. And like as we talked about in previous episodes, like Clint Eastwood says, just you wake up in the morning and you don't let the old man in. You don't go quietly into that good night or whatever, as it were. So anyway, it's hard to articulate the idea of what I'm trying to say here. Maybe you could help in some sort of comment section, or email me. I know where I'm trying to come at this from, the direction I'm trying to come at this from. I mean, I've had gray in my beard since, my late 20s. So, I mean, it's been something that I've had to deal with. But it's weird how much it can change your perception of yourself. Just dyeing that beard. It shouldn't be that way. I mean, but it does. It feels like, I mean, like I walk around with a white in my beard, and I'll have I'll be sore, and I'll come around and my coworkers will be like, well, it's, as you get old, you're going to feel that. And, I show up to the race and it's like, oh yeah, I feel you, when I push myself running, whatever, blah, 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 is what I'm hearing. You know what I mean? It's just a different attitude. It's just not an assumption that you're rickety bones, or because, you're getting up there or whatever. Anyway. I did want to talk a little bit about the Ed Sheeran court case very briefly. As a musician, I have my opinion. I had a problem with him being sued from the beginning. If you're not familiar with the case, they had Marvin Gaye's estate, which I always say that Marvin Gaye's kids are talented kids, but the only thing they're talented at is suing people with frivolous lawsuits and getting big settlements. But in this case, they did not win. If you've ever followed Ed Sheeran from the beginning, or from like many years ago, he's always had this shtick where he would go on to interviews and he would talk to different people. Since his first interviews, if you've ever watched him, he's always toting that stupid guitar and holding it, and a guitar. It's always 2 steps away from him. I call it, I'm just being silly. It's not stupid, but anyway, he has this guitar and he'll say, name any song, and I can play it for you using these 4 chords. If you've ever heard him on an interview, just Google Ed Sheeran playing 4 chords. And he will show you, or anybody who'll listen, how there's parallels between all songs, and it's been one of his trademarks for decades, right? Because he's been able to, it's been his bread and butter to be able to play these different songs and incorporate them into his own music, And so the idea that they would say that he was outright stealing a song because it had a similar chord progression is absurd. Because if you're a musician, if you're a songwriter, as far back as songs have been written, there are chord progressions that are predominant, and if you pick one song out of any song, pick any song, and you find a chord relationship in there, you can find a dozen songs easily that will share that chord progression. Any melody line that you can find will have there's some similarities with other songs out there. But to sue somebody and say that you stole outright is a bold claim. And a dangerous one, because it's open season on all songwriters at that point. And such a unique song as the one that he has being compared to yet another unique song, it trivializes both songs, by saying that they're loosely connected, and kind of seeing how the sausage is made. And it's just part of his testimony was to bust out a guitar and do the same, thing that he does on interviews, and saying, look, here are the chords. You see how you could do it on any song. You could do it to the song. Well, naturally, right? But just because it has that similar chord progression, they're vastly different. But anyway, it was a good ruling because, there's 8 notes, ladies and gentlemen, technically. There's a limited number of notes that you have to write with. I mean, and so you're going to have similarities. It's just, like he was saying, if he would have been found guilty, he would have been like, screw this, I'm out. And he would have every right to be that way, because what's the point? You bare your soul, you put something that you expresses yourself, and then somebody with no business passing judgment over your expression gets to say one way or the other whether it's stolen. It's just aggravating. But anyway, I thought that the ruling in his favor was the right one. And I'm going to edit this one. This was an interesting episode. Thank you all for hanging out with me. Thanks to my wife, Julie, for stopping by and doing the Ron Burgundy. And I will see you next time. Hit me up on the comment section and message me at lostlikemike@gmail.com. And I look forward to speaking to y'all. I'll tell y'all about the first school show next week.